Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Talking with the Elite. I am so freaking stoked for this absolute 100% percussion unit that we have with us today. Historic levels of amazing were coming with our guest. I mean, from throwing down, he was in Detroit for a while. He was in Pittsburgh, a native of Chicago, up in Calgary right now, joining us from the West Coast, taking so much of his time out today to come hang out, talk with us after pretty much teaching a nonstop marathon, I'm guessing virtually, although I don't know how the coronavirus is rocking out in the north here. But we are super excited to have Joshua Jones for us. So let's give it up for my man, Joshua Jones. You're pure amazing. So Josh, first I gotta say, man, so esteemed. This guy, sponsored by Marimba One, right? Like,
I love Ron. I loved him since I was in high school, if not before that.
Yeah, dude. So you got Marimba One, you got Freer, just total absolute, like, and when I think of, when we were younger, I think we're kind of the same generation. I started school in 2004, right? My undergrad. So maybe I'm a little older, I want to say, but like.
Yeah, about 6 years.
Oh, so I thought we were a little closer than that. No. No, but when I was starting, I mean, I'm sitting here thinking you really had like Vic Firth, marimbas. It was like Adams was the main scene that I can kind of remember that they were pushing. And so you have like this next generation of all this stuff coming out. And to be honest, like our generation of musicians are kind of the first to be smart. Like Freer didn't really have it. He was kind of selling mallets out of the back of his truck. Really, he'd like roll up to auditions, right, and just open up his jacket, be like, "Which one you want? You'll win if you take this one." So how did that work out? Like, what did you ever think you would be like this sponsored amazing musician when you were young, or like what was your goal? What was happening for you?
I never thought when I was that young, I never really thought about it, but something I noticed, because I was in the percussion scholarship program, and the group had sponsorships from Black Swamp, Marimba One, obviously, and just a lot of donations, whether it would have been use marimbas or use snare drums. It was a big thing for them. And so I was just always playing with Marimba One mallets, and I just kind of gravitated towards them. And then our 5-octave was a Marimba One, and so I just kind of, not that I fell in love with the sound, but I started noticing that, oh, and Adams doesn't really have this kind of fullness. A Muster has like this kind of thing going on. I just gravitated towards Marimba One sound.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
So what was like the breaking point? Like, do you remember when it got to, like, when did they reach out to you and they're like, "Hey man, we want to sponsor, like, we want you to be one of our artists"? Was it a recognition of kind of things you've been doing? Was it like gigs that you had? Was it a certain performance, or how'd that work out for you?
Yeah, so I was lucky to be on From the Top on the TV show, and I requested having a Marimba One, so I could play, I would always play on Marimba Ones, and they were like, "Oh, is there a mic you want to use? Like, can you get me a 5-octave Marimba One to play on?" And so, so they aired it on TV, and Ron Samuel's wife saw the program.
Oh,
and
no way.
Hey, there's this kid playing on your marimba. And it took him like 3 months or so. I don't know how long, but she kept on watching the video. And then he was like, "Oh, hey, there's a kid playing on my marimba."
He's like, "Sweetheart, have you ever seen this before? Look at this guy."
And so he found Doug's contact, because obviously he sent a bunch of mallets to Doug. Doug was the director of the percussion scholarship program.
Yeah.
And so he got my contact and was like, "Hey, I'd like to send you some mallets." And so that's how we met. And so that was like sophomore year into junior year of high school, I think, maybe sophomore year. And from then on, every couple months I'd send him an email saying, "Hey, I'm doing this now. Hey, I'm going to DePaul. And so I just kept in touch,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
anything. And then eventually when I won the Calgary job, I was like, hey, I just won the job. And then he was like, hey, you want to be an artist?
Well,
You
how
know,
long ago did you win Calgary?
2 years, 6 months, and 5 days, something.
So, so when you were preparing for that, what number auditions, like, were you keeping track of auditions like most of the people that
Yeah,
are on it? Oh, okay. What was that for you?
number 9.
Oh man, you're just like Aaron Dowry, man. You guys had like 2 auditions and then you were on like the success circuit up here.
Yeah, it was like I think I got 4 auditions in, and then I finally advanced. In as far as
Mm.
major audition, not civic or
Hmm.
festival. I don't really count those.
Well, I mean, they're accomplishments, but it's like to your point, you're just saying, for me, it was more like when I'm getting paid to where like I could move to this place and have a couch in an apartment
Yeah.
with, without doing like MLM on my Facebook with my buddy. Yeah, so that was great. So you did 4 and then you started advancing. What was your first advance?
um, Cleveland, of all places.
Wow.
No, that was the second advance. Sorry,
Okay.
Cincinnati. Cincinnati Symphony was the first advance I got.
Yeah.
Uh,
So what was it? Did you notice something that like hit when you started advancing, or was it like a mental thing? Did you have to overcome something for that to happen, or how did that take shape?
yeah, it was a mental thing for sure. It was like an amount of comfort from one instrument to the next. But I would be okay, super
Mm.
comfortable here, and then I'd be like, okay, that was great. Hopefully it goes well next time. So when with Cleveland, it was a little easier because I was essentially playing for my teacher, and so I was like, okay, Mark likes it this way. Mark likes this way. Mark likes
Mm.
this way. Mark, and I was just like, yeah, 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 nail, nail. You know.
Yeah, so
Then
you
the
felt
second
like
round,
maybe he was on your side, right? Rather than
not even that. It was like I was just comfortable. I was just more comfortable because I knew. Oh, I knew the person who was there, so I just felt less, angsty about. I don't know what they're gonna like. I don't know if this is gonna go.
oh, so you have that thing where like you're looking at that screen. No, you don't see what's and you just imagine like the second I touch the drum, they're just gonna hate it and be like
Yeah,
next. Like
yeah. And
but you
so
didn't
now
have
it's
that in
like
Cleveland. So then what happened in the second round after you advanced?
second. I don't even know. Second round, I just got nervous. I was like,
Ah.
I'm really young. Like, why am I in? What? What? You have that imposter syndrome. So I had to work on that next. It was like, that imposter syndrome was like, do I deserve to be in this round right now? Like, was that a fluke?
Mm.
That kind of thing.
Did
Uh,
that follow you when you got the job at Calgary? Did you feel that for a little bit, or were you pretty confident by that point of like, no, like I earned this. I know that this can happen for me.
yeah, I feel like with Calgary, I kind of knew I was going to win before I even got here.
Oh
Um,
yeah, man.
with the same thing with Kansas. I just had a gut feeling that it was going to work out. Um, yeah,
Man, because you're a percussion unit. That's why. Like,
I don't know. But it is, I think, a confidence thing because, like, obviously, I have such a good facility on each instrument,
yeah.
and I have so much control over what sounds I'm making and what, like, the articulations, and then just a good grasp of, like, oh, what's the traditional phrasing? How do I want to phrase things? How is this
Mhm.
going to be infected in the hall? Like, I just have that awareness. And with Calgary was like, okay, I know I can do this. Let's see if this is going to work if I just do that. And it did. Now I'm just kind of like, ooh.
Yeah, man. So I've
um,
actually that's really legit because I was talking. We started our summer programs at Carnegie Mellon this week, and so we get a lot of these high school kids that are coming through, and they're trying to decide whether they want to do this for real. And we always sit down. The first thing I tell is, "Hey, man, just play me something." And then they play, and you can tell from the way they play the answer to the question I'm going to ask, which is, what do you think the most important thing is when you're playing the drums, when you're playing these pieces? And the answer that I know they're always going to give me is, I have to hit the right notes. Because I'm like, that's what your playing sounds like. Right. Yep. And so here it's funny because I had this conversation like 7 times today. And then you're just right here and you're like, I'm not even at a level where I'm thinking about the right notes. I know the right notes are going to happen. I might miss 1 or 2. That's not even bothering me. I'm worrying about what's happening on all these higher levels. Like, that's crazy. And then you just show up and you're just like, yeah, man, I'm going to get this done. So you should do that. Next audition you take, right? You should just walk in and be like, guys, I mean, I had the thing. It's going to happen for me today. Like, best of luck.
Yeah, it's like at this point, it's almost, and it's not that I'm like cocky or anything. It's just I'm noticing how many, like, there's so many. So basically, a lot of teachers stop at the stroke types. You're full, down, tap, up.
Yeah.
And you take it to a different level when you start messing around with, okay, well, what fulcrum are you using? Like, the further up you go, the brighter the sound. The further back you go, the darker the sound. Okay, how further can you take that? Well, you can add arm weight. Okay, how farther can you take that? It's like you just start adding levels and layers of color palette things, and it just makes you feel more like connected to the instrument. And then I'm like, well, does anyone else do this? Like, with this kind of freedom? Because the only people I can think of are like, obviously Jojo Mayer, because like it's just insane.
Yeah.
Mark Demalakis, Chris Lamb. Mark is like an extreme version of Chris. So I feel like it's just like, I don't know. I'm trying to help people get these kinds of awarenesses so they can be like, oh, okay, I'm going to play taps from my shoulder, but also use a full stroke that's slow, so so it cushions the sound a little bit. Like, it's just kind of crazy. So when I go to auditions now, I'm like, okay, Kiji, where am I going to play from today? Like, okay, I'm going to play from my back. Like, it's like,
yeah,
just that ease and comfort, but that only comes from like that exploration and then a knowledge of the pieces, and then feeling that kind of freedom where you could just start playing around and improvising on all the pieces to the point where you know a piece so well, like you don't need to practice 6 months in advance. You're just like, oh, here's the list. Is there anything new? Like, you don't have to worry about, the smaller piece. Obviously you want to practice. You don't want to like not practice.
No, I get you.
But at a certain level, like Chris Lamb talked about it too. He's like, you only need 2 weeks, based on the list. If the list is standard, if you're doing like Atlanta Symphony audition from 2017, I think, like that list was pretty standard. So you need like 4 weeks. But if something's super new, where it's like Adam's Short Ride or something where you don't know it, like obviously you take the time.
2 weeks. No, that's the 2-week challenge, baby. That's what you got to do. You got to post it on social. You open up the email that you got invited to the audition 2 weeks before the show. You're like, all right, man, here's what's going to happen. No, you're absolutely right though. So I had one of my teachers, I was fortunate enough to study a little bit with Tim Adams. And we would always talk about this. For those, because he used to teach at Brevard over the summer, and it was great because you could actually like get to hang out with him a little more because there was nothing to do in Brevard. And so he would like hang out with us. You know what I mean? Like, all the money in the world didn't put you in a different social class than your students in Brevard because there's nowhere to spend it. So I remember we were out one night and I was just like, yeah, man, Tim, you think I could really do this? Because I got a late start. And he just told me, he's like, dude, an orchestra job is the easiest job to get. And I said, why do you think that? Because not a lot of people get it. And he just said, man, Beethoven 5 will always be Beethoven 5. It will always be bum, 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 bum. It's never going to be bum, bum, biggity dum. Like, they're never going to change it. Like, once you get it, and he was kind of hinting at that level that you're kind of at, where if you can overcome that, if you get those 10,000 hours in and you get comfortable with it, and then all of a sudden it's just, okay, how do I make this me? Then it's not a matter of what, am I going to hit the right notes? It's just what orchestra is looking for me. What's looking for my sound, That's cool, man. That's awesome. Nah, dude, that's why you see the success you're at. Also, I've talked with a ton of people. I have never heard a bad word said about you, man. Like,
you haven't talked to enough people.
So how long were you studying in Cleveland then? Because you said you studied with Mark.
Like a month and a half, if that.
Oh, really? It was quick. It was like you're
Yeah,
there. Where was your main study then? Where were you mainly at?
DePaul.
DePaul. Okay. So then when did you start seeing in your timeline, like right after your undergrad, you just started seeing things kind of take off, and then you started traveling to where stuff was happening?
Yeah, it was like I always had good technique and a good base, but I was never really comfortable with myself doing what I wanted with my technique. It was always like, I need to make sure this is right. I need to make sure I play all the right
Mm-hmm.
notes. Like da 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 da, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I was carrying that baggage all through undergrad, and then I won the Detroit thing, and I'm like, well, and I'm always kicking
Wait,
myself.
what Detroit thing did you win?
Oh, the Detroit Fellowship audition.
Okay.
Thanks. I always just like rush through things.
No, that's okay. Because I took the Detroit audition a little bit ago. Remember when they had like 7 in a row?
Yeah.
Where they were just like, let's do it. And I have to say, I don't know how you felt about yours, how yours was set up. Detroit was by far the best organized audition. Maybe that's just because they had 7 in a row and they were like, we know how to do it now. Like, we're not going to ask for a 30-minute first round and then end up cutting people at the very end after hearing like 4 notes. Like, everything was well thought out. Everything was timed, moved through. I felt so comfortable at that audition. When we got up with the proctor, we were about to go on stage, and he looked at me and he was like, do you have any questions for me? And we were right on the inside of the shell, right? And I was looking at the shell with all these names, and I just looked at him. I was like, you mind if I sign the shell like everybody else? And he looked at me, he was like, what? No, you're about to take an audition. Like, you should be thinking about that. And I was like, no, man, like, I feel super relaxed, you know? And I got out there and I played really well. I didn't, I was too young. I didn't make the cut, but it was just like, they have like such a well-oiled machine when it came to that stuff. So I don't know if that was your experience, or so how long did you play for them, or how did that work out?
So it was a 2-year program. So I played there from 2014 to 2016.
Nice, man. That's so cool. And so after that was when you got the gig in Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah, it was like a school year of being back in Chicago, teaching and gigging around. And then I started auditioning for grad school and some other orchestras. And then Calgary came up, and I was like, Canada. No, more it was my now fiance. She was like, yeah, can you please win that job so we can have a place to go just in case things go to crap here in America?
Yeah. So sure enough, that worked out real well for you then, given what's going on.
In so many ways. Oh my gosh.
So then you got the Calgary. Congratulations. I did not know you are engaged. That is super awesome, dude. Super sweet. I mean, I kind of feel like, are you guys I'm going to totally get super personal with you. Are you guys going to have kids like right away? Or have you even talked about that yet? The best advice.
We're talking about getting a puppy.
All right. The best advice I give all of my students, all my freshmen, have a kid right away. Like in school. I had a kid in my grad school. It completely changes your life because you all of a sudden realize that like, and you probably already have this because I watched a lot of the videos and the stuff you put out, but like your purpose, your drive, and your focus just turns into like a laser. Because now if you fail, it's not just you going like, oh, okay, well, I don't care. It's like, no, dude, you have to support. You brought something into this life, right? And so like every concern that you used to have just kind of seems stupid.
Yep.
And you have this amazing euphoria of like every time you come home, your kid just opens you, no matter how much your teachers are yelling at you or your orchestra sounds bad or how bad you think you are, your kid is just like, Dad, I love you. And you're like, yes, this is amazing. So that's my unsolicited advice. And if you move back to the US, the government gives you so much money for having a kid. So no, that's awesome, man. Well, congratulations with that. So, when you play, right, I'm going to say you're at an amazing level, right? Definitely top elite, busting through with this generation. Is it hard for you to turn that off and enjoy music? Or like, what's your experience when you listen to music?
I feel like it was for a little bit, and now it's a little bit easier to just enjoy again, because now I'm not thinking what I would normally be thinking when I hear music is, oh, it's executed this way. Oh, they're doing this. Oh, this is coming from the back. Oh, this is now it's just kind of like, okay, I can just sit and enjoy resonance, and I'm just like, yeah, So it at a certain level, it was where I couldn't listen and enjoy. Now it's more, it's either I can enjoy it or I just don't want to listen to music. I just want to listen to sound. I just want to listen to cars or the birds or trees, wind, water. Like, I don't want to hear organized sound until I want to hear organized sound.
No, that's super. No, I totally get where you're coming from. When I was a little younger, I kind of had this thing where like I would try to not be into what other people liked. Like I would try to point out the flaws in it. You know what I mean? And I think it came a little bit from maybe a little of my insecurity. But then also like, look, man, you spend all day playing music for people who are just judging you. So it gets really hard. One thing I tell my students is 99% of the time we're playing music for someone who's going to critique us afterwards. Yet, I would say less than 1% of the people that hear our music are capable of doing what we're doing. So when we're there performing for our audience, you have to switch that mentality of like, I'm not trying to impress you. I'm trying to create this sound. And so, but then also like, it's on us as listeners to like kind of shut that off. Like they're not there trying to impress us. It's, they're just offering, this is my sound. This is what I do. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, it does get a little difficult though, because it's like, I don't know, man. It's hard to focus on that authenticity and lose the technicality of everything, So in Calgary, are there a lot of chances to get around music? Or I don't even know, like, is this, how big of a town is it? Is it bustling? Is it a thing that's like a destination for this kind of stuff? Or
it's definitely not a music destination. So it's like, I say, oh, I play with the orchestra. Like, there's an orchestra? I've definitely gotten that. So it's been nice to have people while I was here. Like I used to get tea at David's Tea, so I made friends with all the cashiers there, made friends with 2 local restaurants and hung out there. So I made a lot of friends outside the job.
Yeah, you should come see me play. I'm actually like really good. People. So we're running. I want to be respectful of you because you got to get back to teach. There is one question that I want to ask you for sure, and it's where you are now. What is there one thing that you didn't expect that you not necessarily struggle with, but is part of your career that like when you were younger you didn't expect or prepare for? Is there something that like if someone's coming to be in your position, like what should they look out for or practice for or train for?
I didn't, man, this is actually kind of personal. I didn't expect to have the confidence that I have now in a lot of different ways. Because I was always kind of a shy kid, and in certain respects, at least. And I think the main thing is that I didn't realize how easier it would get if I just kind of had more fun, or just like accepted that, oh, I think this is, because I remember when I started getting better, I realized that this isn't real. Like Tim Adams said, this isn't really that hard. You learn the rep, you play
Tim Adams was also amazing. So I think it's
I know. It's like you learn the rep, and if you don't know how to play a technique, you learn the technique, and then you play that, and then you learn all the different instruments, and you play the pieces, and then hopefully they like it, and you win a job. It's like, okay, I just do that. And people in school were like, no, it takes this and this, you have to do this and this, and they're going to judge you. And I'm just like, but you just learn the rep, and then you play the rep, and then they see if they like it, and that's it, right? No, you just like,
yeah.
And so as soon as I had to fight, once I got back to that simplicity of like, just learn the techniques, make sure they're comfortable and accessible, and then put those techniques into the piece and then make music. And that's it. And as soon as I did that, I got more confident. And I don't know, I feel like what I didn't expect was that the way I went about it would turn into such like, not even a novelty, but I'd be like a destination point for people to learn how to do that, as far as the physicality and like what I call pathways of connection. It's basically Feldenkrais technique for drummers, using like some Bruce Lee technique stuff and some Michael Jordan philosophy.
Yeah.
All together. Like it's basically that, but I'm like one of the first, I don't even know if I'm the first one or whatever, but I'm one of the people who do that and know how to explain it in very big detail. I just didn't expect to like do that, because I always like sharing information, but it definitely wasn't a goal. It just kind of happened.
That's amazing. Yeah. And so I think what you're hitting on is it's interesting how simple it is for you to explain like what a lot of people, because I talk, we talk with a lot of people. Everybody kind of knows. And when you talk with some people, like some of the older generation, after they've had the jobs for so long, you're just like, yeah, and they go, so I mean, you just gotta win. Like you just be better than everyone, like, and you'll win, but like to break it down and be so simplistic and like, yeah, this is exactly how I, as Josh Jones, was able to attack it in this manner, and this is how I see. And like, if anybody sees the videos that you have on YouTube, like the stuff, the information that surrounds like your sphere, like it's very direct and very simple, and it comes from a humble, normal place, which is amazing. You know what I mean? Like it just, and again, I think anyone who's around you, who would play in a group with you, who even just is kind of just vibing with you for a little bit, will instantly be engaged and like, yeah, like I can do this. It's like you're almost empowered by being around this.
Yeah, that's one of the things I'll miss about here, because with Calgary, there's only one percussion position, and everyone else is just a sub. And so I would have so many opportunities to just go like, I see what they're doing. I'm like, okay, so if you throw from your shoulder, you'll get like a deeper sound. You do it like that, and then they're like, oh, this is fun. Like I made it like really fun, and I tried to make every concert an experimentation for everybody, so they can explore and feel a little more safe and free. And that's one of the things I'm going to miss about here. It was really fun doing that and helping people find different colors and different sounds, and they're just like, we're all smiling in the back like, yeah, man, this is so much fun. We're just like, yeah, I wanna.
Yeah, dude, I have definitely subbed for orchestras, and that is not the vibe. It's right. It's like, I got to hit everything perfect or they're never going to call me back again,
Yeah,
and
I know how that feels. Like luckily I'm a principal again in Kansas City, so I'll be able to make sure everybody doesn't feel that way. Like, dude, you make a mistake, like, hey, that's the gig. We all make mistakes, man. We're human, whatever.
Yeah. No, that's really cool though. But if you see someone who's out there trying to color and to play with that passion, I think, at least because I play with a lot of groups in Pittsburgh, and I've done percussion ensemble stuff here. I've done a lot of outreach. And to me, that's the type of people that I want to have around me, where I'm like, dude, I'll forgive a note. Anyone, what's a half step among friends? But
Yeah,
if you're pouring your
it's
heart into this, and we're having experiences that change me as well as the audience, like, yeah, I'll definitely do this, Well,
yeah.
here, dude, let me tell you, Josh, you come to Pittsburgh, you got a place to stay. I'm pretty sure after seeing this, you go anywhere, you got a place to stay. People throw down for Josh Jones. I am super grateful that you took the time to come and do this. It's going to help so many people. So many students can just totally get a vibe from you. If they want to learn more or get stuff, is there a way to reach out to you? Do you have like a website? You got information, or what's the deal?
Drummojo.com. So the word drum, then the word mojo.com. So much information. I have hours of content now, which is crazy. So that, Instagram, Josh Jones Drums, so many videos. It's crazy. And I have 2 books out of 18 apparently. The first one is Spatial Studies for Hitting Things.
2 books out of 18? What?
It's just a lot of books. Every day I'm like, oh man, I got to write a book about this too, and this and this.
You're going like medieval monk style with your output here. It's
yeah, it's pretty crazy. So Spatial Studies for Hitting Things, you can find it if you Google it. Just Google Spatial Studies for Hitting Things. You'll find book 1 at Bakovich Publications, and then you'll find book 3 at my website, drummojo.com. It's a PDF. Book 2 is still under construction because it's a very difficult book to write.
No, dude. Susan Collins did the same thing. First, it was, what was the first one? From the Hunger Games. And then she went straight to the Mockingjay, and then she released Catching Fire, the second book, third. No one's ever done that. They just order it. But I guess, yeah, man, that's you. You got that cool vibe. So they can get the books, Drum Mojo. I was checking out Drum Mojo. So you're the one that hosted all of Drum, like that's your thing. That's your deal.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that is awesome. Well, it is. I gotta tell you, man, it is super rare to come across someone who has that passion, who plays, also wants to give back, and is just on that trail of just shooting up. And all of us can just ride in your coattail of like, hey.
I just want to like drag everybody with me.
Well, hey, man, thank you so much for joining us. Seriously, dude, when you get back into the States, when you're something, we got to figure out something. We got to do something together. That would be so much fun. But I am greatly honored and humbled by having you here. I personally am going to go out and get that book 1. I'm going to read the crap out of it. And then next time, if we meet at an audition, I'm going to walk in and be like, Josh, man, I got this. Like, you don't even have to play. I'm feeling it. It's going to be me.
I want everybody to have that, because my selfish desire is that, I don't know, I want auditions to be less weeding out technical people from musical people. I just want it to be, oh, hey, there's this person with this sound, this person with this. I want it to be that choice of salt. Like,
yeah, man.
Sand, grainy. Here's this piece,
I have to say, like, I played when I took Indianapolis. I almost advanced. They didn't invite me. And then I got in because people left, so I was playing first, and they asked me to wait around. They're like, we don't know if we want to advance you just quite yet. It was me and one of my other really good friends from Carnegie Mellon that both of us were told the same thing. And we were waiting around all day, and then she got the call that she got advanced, and I didn't, and they called me right after. And instead of just being like bitter or upset, I was like, Jay, this was so much fun. Like, I don't feel bad about my audition. You don't feel bad about yours. It was just like, I know you must have played really well. You know what I mean? Like, I'm excited that we had like this battle, and I didn't have the stress of like, I'm going home to nothing. My parents, luckily I got all the support in the back end. I think that's easier for me to have that mentality, but like, that's one of the greatest things about auditions, that I'm so grateful to have those experiences, because you get there and you get to be like, dude, I get to duke it out with like, this is the next generation, man. These are the next Josh Joneses right here. Thank you so much, man. I super appreciate you being on. Super amazing. Everybody give a shout out to Josh Jones. If anything you want to get better, you want to learn what it's like to practice, you want to throw yourself down, you go Drum Mojo. You get it. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. You have a great day, and we will see you on the next episode. Thank you, Josh.